Welcome back to Yehoshua's Daf Yomi Shiur, where the Daf continues daily until the complete revelation of Mashiach ben David, Messiah, the son of David. May it be soon and in our day. Amen. We are holding by Chullin 119b. The last three words of the previous page were Boy Rav Oshaya. Rav Oshaya raises a dilemma. Now we're on 119b. As the Gemara stated, protection joins together with the food to constitute the requisite measure to impart impurity. What is the halacha with regard to two protections joining together with the food to constitute the measure of an egg bulk required to impart impurity? Hechidami. What are the circumstances of the dilemma? The Gemara asks, what are the circumstances of the dilemma? If we say that it is referring to a case where a food item has two layers of protection and this outer protection is on top of that inner protection, is the halacha of protection applicable with regard to protection that is on top of another protection? Ve'otanan Rabbi Yehuda Omer Shalosh klipos bebadzal penimis ben shlema ben kedura mitztarefes emtsois shlema mitztarefes kedura ein mitztarefes chitzoina ben nechben kaktoero. But didn't we learn in the Mishnah in Oktzin 2:4 that Rabbi Yehuda says there are three peels surrounding an onion? The inner peel is considered like the food itself, and therefore, whether whole or punctured, it joins together with the onion to constitute the requisite measure to impart the impurity of food. With regard to the middle peel, when it is whole, it provides protection and therefore joins together with the onion. But when it is punctured, it does not provide and therefore does not join together with the onion. Excuse me. With the onion, it's the onion that made that happen. I'm just kidding. But didn't we learn in the Mishnah? There are three peels surrounding an onion. The inner peel is considered like food itself, and therefore, whether whole or punctured, it joins together with the onion to constitute the requisite measure to impart the impurity of food. With regard to the middle peel, when it is whole, it provides protection and therefore joins together with the onion. But when it is punctured, it does not provide protection and therefore does not join together with the onion. The outer peel does not join together with the onion at all. And both in this case, when it is whole, and in that case, when it is punctured, it remains ritually pure. Evidently, the halacha protection is not applied to a protection that surrounds another protection. Roshaya Shomer. The Gemara explains the dilemma. Roshaya does not raise the dilemma with regard to a food item that has two layers of protection. Rather, he raises the dilemma with regard to protection of food that one divided such that the food is whole, but the protection is divided into separate sections. The dilemma is as follows. Since this section of the protection is protecting this part of the food, but does not provide protection for that other part of the food, and that other section of the protection is protecting another part of the food, but does not provide protection for this part of the food, one must conclude that the two protections do not join together to constitute the requisite measure for the purity of food. Or perhaps, should one reason that since this section of the protection provides protection for this part of the food, and that section of the protection provides protection for its part of the food, and the two parts of the food are joined together. Therefore, the entire entity is considered unified, and the two sections of the protection joined together to constitute the requisite measure. Tashima, Paul, Kidneys. Come in here a resolution to the dilemma from that which is taught in the Mishnah cited previously in Oketzin 1.5. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah deems a pod containing beans that came in contact with a dead creeping animal ritually pure. But he deems a pod containing legumes that came in contact with a dead creeping animal impure, because one desires the use of the pod when handling the legumes so that he will not damage them, since the requisite volume for a food item to be susceptible to impurity is an egg bulk, and the volume of one pod and its legumes is less than an egg bulk. This statement must be discussing multiple pods joined together. Evidently, protection of food is divided into separate sections joined together to constitute the requisite measure to impart impurity. Amr v'achabdei derabe bekulcha mishum yad umay b'mish mushan b'tashmishan. Rav Acha, son of Rava, said in rejection of this resolution that Mishnah is discussing a case where a creeping animal touched the stalk to which the pods are attached, but not the pods themselves. And the halacha in that Mishnah is not referring to the matter of protection. Rather, it is with regard to the matter of a handle, as the stalk serves as a handle for the pod and its attached grain. And what does Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah mean when he says that in the case of legumes the stalk is impure because one desires the use of the stalk when handling the legumes? He is referring to carrying the legumes with the stalk. Toshima ditono de Rabbi Shmuel al kol zera zerua sheu zorea kederach shebnei Adam moitzion lezrio chito bekliposo useoera bekliposo v'adoshem bekliposon. Come and hear a resolution from that which the school of Rabbi Shmuel taught with regard to the impurity of food. The verse states, on any sowing seed that is sown, Leviticus 11:37, indicating that the entire seed is susceptible to ritual impurity when it is in a state where it's typical for people to take it out to the field for sowing. This applies to wheat in its shell, and barley in its shell, and lentils in their shells. It is derived from here that shells and other appendages that protect the food joined together with the food to constitute the requisite measure to impart impurity, since the measure of one grain and its shell is less than an egg bulk. This statement must be discussing multiple grains and their shells joined together. Evidently, protection of food that is derived into separate sections joins together to impart impurity. The Gemara rejects this resolution. One can explain this statement in accordance with that which Rav Acha, the son of Rabbi, said with regard to the statement of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah that was cited previously. The Mishnah is discussing a case where a creeping animal came into contact with the stalk to which the pods are attached, but not the pods themselves. And therefore, the halacha in the Mishnah is not referring to the matter of protection, rather it is with regard to the matter of a handle. Here too, the statement of the school of Yishmael is not referring to the independent grains of wheat and barley, but rather to the stem to which the grains are attached, and it is with regard to the status of all the shells of the grains on one stem as protection. All of the grains surrounding the stem protect each other, since if one shell with its grain falls and causes all of the other shells and their grains to fall as well. Therefore, this case is not similar to Rav Shai's dilemma, where each protection protects only part of the food. The Gemara asks, granted the grains located higher on the stem need the grains located lower on the stem to maintain in the place in order not to fall. But for what purpose do the grains located lower on the stem need the grains located higher on the stem? The Gemara answers, the case is one where the grains are all positioned tightly around the stem in one row in such a manner that even if one located higher up on the stem were to fall, the remaining grains would fall too. The Gemara asks, is there a volume of an egg bulk of food in one row of grain? The Gemara answers, yes. This Braita is stated with regard to large grains of wheat, such as those grown in the time of Shimon ben Shetach. The Gemara points out, now that you have arrived at this conclusion, it is not necessary to interpret the Braita as referring to many grains tightly packed around the stem. It is even possible to explain that the Braita is discussing the case of one grain of wheat, such as the large grains of wheat grown in the time of Shimon ben Shetach. Gufa, Shnei Atzamois v'alein Shnei Chatzoizeis, Simichnis Roshen Shnaim Lebayis, Habayis Ma'el, Alehin Habayis Tomei. The Gemara proceeds to discuss the Tosefta itself that was cited earlier on 118b in the case of two bones upon which there are two halves of an olive bulk of flesh of a corpse, meaning half of an olive bulk of flesh is attached to one end of each bone, and one placed the ends of both bones that are not directly attached to the flesh inside the house in such a manner that the house overlies those ends of the bones, but not the ends of the bones attached to the flesh. It is considered as though the house is overlying the flesh itself, and the house is impure. Yehuda ben Akosa Omer Mishum Rabbi Yaakov Hayach Shnei Atzamos Mitach Nekizayis. Yehuda ben Akosa says in the name of Rabbi Yaakov, how can two bones join together to constitute an olive bulk of the flesh attached to each bone is less than the measure of an olive bulk? It may be inferred from here that according to all, if the end of a bone that is attached to an olive bulk of flesh is outside the house, and the other end that is not directly attached to any flesh is inside the house becomes impure with the ritual impurity of a corpse. Amar Reish Lakish לא ישנו אלא עצם להבי יד, אבל אם לא הבי יד, וביוחנן אמר אפילו נמנע מהבי יד. With regard to this matter, Reish Lakish said that the sages taught this halacha only with regard to a bone, as it constitutes a handle vis-a-vis the flesh. But if one hair of a corpse is attached to an olive bulk of flesh at one end, and the other end of the hair is inside a house, it does not render the house impure, because the hair does not constitute a handle vis-a-vis the flesh. And Rabbi Yochanan said, even the hair constitutes a handle vis-a-vis the flesh, and therefore the house is rendered impure. Rabbi Yochanan raises an objection to the opinion of Reish Lakish from the Mishnah taught later, 124a. In the case of the hide of an unslaughtered animal carcass upon which there is an olive bulk of flesh, one who touches a strand of flesh emerging from the flesh or touches a hair that is on the side of the hide, opposite the flesh, is rich and impure with the impurity of an unslaughtered carcass, even though he did not touch an olive bulb of the flesh. What is the reason that one who touches the strand of the flesh or the hair becomes impure? Is it not because they constitute a handle for the flesh, contrary to the opinion of Reish Lakish with regard to a hair? Lo, mishum shoymech. Mishum umika shoymech mishoymech chal chule mechal chel. The Gemara answers, no, the ruling of that Mishnah is not because the hair serves as a handle for the flesh, rather it is because the hair serves as a protection for the flesh. The Gemara asks, but the hide protects the flesh, and the hair is on top of the hide. Is the halacha of protection applicable with regard to protection that is on top of another protection? The Gemara answers, the hair penetrates through the hide and touches the flesh, thereby providing protection directly for the flesh. Maskif lo vacha bar Yaakov el miyata tefilin lecha kasvinan habayin aksivutamu veleka. Rabbi Acha bar Yaakov objects his answer, and he asks if that is so, that there are perforations in the hide through which the hairs penetrate, how can we write to fill in phylacteries? Don't we require phylacteries to be written with perfect writing, with no perforations in the letters? And that is not possible if there are perforations in the hide. Ishtamite hadyamli b'marova kol nekev shedayoi. The Gemara answers, Rabbi Yaakov overlooked that halacha, which they say in the West, Eretz Yisrael, any perforation over which the ink passes and which it covers is not considered a perforation that invalidates the writing. And if you wish to say instead a different answer to Rabbi Yochanan's objection to Reish Lakish, the entire Mishnah teaches that one who touches either a strand of flesh or a hair becomes impure because these appendages serve the flesh as a handle and not as a protection. Nevertheless, that statement does not contradict the opinion of Reish Lakish that a hair does not constitute a handle for the flesh, because one can explain this Mishnah as Rabbi Elah stated with regard to a different Mishnah. It is stated with regard to the case of an on among many ons. Okay? Weiter. Hachanami benina shebem hanimin. So too, the Mishnah taught later is stated with regard to a case of a hair among many hairs, and not the case of a single hair. Therefore, the hair constitutes a handle for the flesh, because one can hold the hair and lift the flesh without the hair becoming detached. It's like a tongue twister. You have Rabbi Elah, you have Rabbi Eli, and they're talking about filling with fillings. Filling? Milai. And on. Whatever, it has the same sound. Okay, and where was the opinion of Elah stated? It was stated with regard to that which is taught in the Mishnah Oketson 1.3, and on, Milai, that is on top of a stalk, and on, whatever that is. A stalk constitutes a handle for the stalk. Therefore, it can become impure and impart impurity, but it does not join together with the grains to constitute the requisite measure to impart impurity. It was asked, for what function is an on fit such that it is considered to be a handle for the stock. Rabbi Eli said, I guess it's the same person, Rabbi Eli. Okay. That the Mishnah is stated with regard to, I thought they were different people. The Mishnah is stated with regard to the case of an on among many ons and not the case of a single on. Therefore, the ons constitute a handle for the stock because one can hold the ons and lift the stock without the ons becoming detached from it. Some say another version of this dispute between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish and the ensuing discussion with regard to the status of the hairs vis-a-vis the flesh. Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish agree that a single hair does not constitute a handle vis-a-vis the flesh connected to it, but they disagree with regard to several hairs. Rabbi Yochanan raises an objection to Rish Lakish's opinion that hair is not considered a handle from the Mishnah taught later, which states that one who touches a hair emerging from the hide of an animal carcass opposite to flesh is impure, indicating that hair constitutes a handle. Hachanami mistavro mishum shomer dei salkadaitach mishum yad nema achas lemay chazi. Reish Lakish answers that one who touches the hair is impure, not because it is considered a handle, but because it is considered protection for the flesh. The Gemara adds, so too it is reasonable to entertain that the person is impure because hair is considered protection and not because it is considered a handle. And, as if it enters your mind that it is because hair is considered a handle, for what function is one hair fit such that it is considered a handle? The Gemara responds, one can explain that the Mishnah considers hair to consider a handle, as Rabbi Eli stated in explanation of a different Mishnah. It is stated with regard to the case of an on among many ons. Here too, that Mishnah is stated with regard to the case of a hair among many hairs and not the case of a single hair. Vehecha itmar de Rabbi Eli. Aha. I don't know why he switched Rabbi Eli and Rabbi Eli. I don't get that. Maybe it's just a typo. Aha. The Tzanan Hamelai. Hamelai is like Eli. Shibilayim, Shibitamin, Mistarvin Malai, Lemai Chazi, Amar Vilai, Bimai, Bimalai, Shebain Hamilaim. And there was the opinion, and where was the opinion Rabbi Eli stated? It was stated with regard to that which we learned in the Mishnah and on, that is on the top of the stock can become impure and impart impurity, but it does not join together with the grains to constitute the requisite measure to impart impurity. It was asked, for what function is an on fit such that it is considered to be a handle for the stock? Rabbi Eli said that the Mishnah is stated with regard to the case of an on among many ons. And there are those who teach another version of the dispute between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish.